The following is a special presentation of Channel 4 News.
We're triggering a forewarned weather alert day.
It was like a lake in my front yard.
A 4-1 live Doppler still shows very hefty storms.
That's where we most likely could be seeing a tornado at this point.
Just look at this place. We've got trees down everywhere. All the power is out back there.
Good Lord just didn't call me, is all I know.
Live with a forewarned weather alert. This is Channel 4 News at 5.
I've lived here all my life, and everything now looks like a disaster.
Powerful storms take a deadly toll in Middle Tennessee.
I felt stuff is hitting me on the back and glasses flying everywhere.
Tonight, crews are still picking through the rubble that stretches for miles. One of the spots hardest hit, an elementary school where people had taken shelter just minutes before.
The school is basically going to be uninhabitable.
Now, more severe weather could be heading that way.
We have a lot to get to, including the threat of even more severe weather on the way.
The damage out here is just tremendous. I'm going to walk you through it. This is Price Lane in Fayetteville, and the storm came right down this street. You can see this is about a half mile of damage. Trees blown over, snapped in half, uprooted, and homes completely leveled. We've counted 3 homes on this lot that are just done for, roofs ripped off, and I want to show you this over here. This is a foundation of a home. The storm lifted this house off the ground and then threw it across the street. So take a look at this. The home basically exploded when it landed over here in the neighbor's front yard.
Channel 4's Ian Wright, who's been in Lincoln County since before dawn. And Ian, a long day certainly for you guys, but a longer night for those who've been affected.
That's right, Tom, and these folks who've been affected are not slowing down. In fact, they're ramping things up. They're trying to get as much done over the next couple of hours before the sun goes down as they possibly can. A number of roofs were ripped off during last night's tornado. This one, just look at this. It's an example of one of those roofs ripped off, kind of crumpled up underneath a power pole. You're going to see this over and over as you drive down the streets through Fayetteville. And for the school that's behind me, the entire roof was ripped right off it.
I sit right there by the door. Just run that seat right up in there.
Nolan Palladino spent years at this school. His mom teaches just down the hall. He says this week was supposed to be about celebrating.
We're about to have our 8th grade night, and we don't have a place to do 8th grade night this week because it's supposed to be in the gym.
Students were also supposed to spend the next few days taking the TCAP tests, not surveying the damage. If you step out back behind the school, the devastation continues for several hundred feet. All kinds of debris out back here. And there's this concrete slab that was flipped over. This mower right here used to sit on top of it.
Live with breaking news. This is Channel 4 News at 6.
There has been a plane crash outside the YMCA in Bellevue. 4 people on board and no survivors. Good evening and welcome to Channel 4 News at 6. The word came just about 30 minutes ago that this was a deadly crash.
Yeah, that plane is a Gulfstream 690C. Now, this is a picture of the actual plane. It went down in the back parking lot of the Y just after 5 o'clock. Everyone who was inside that building, we understand, got out safely.
A command center of sorts has been set up across the street at the nearby Kroger store. Let's check in with Channel 4's Nancy Amons. What's happening there, Nancy?
We are right at the entrance to the Y. Right behind me here is the driveway. As you can see, it is a very busy scene.
Now, we just received word from Metro Police that there were no survivors, and the 4 people aboard that plane were all members of the same family. Right now, Metro Police is protecting this crash site for investigators. The plane went down in a clearing between the YMCA and a housing development. Avoiding both may have been the last act of the pilot of the Gulfstream before it crashed.
The pilot may have made every effort to avoid that. Pilots are trained, and I'm not a pilot, but I've heard them through the years, and we've trained to that. He may have made every effort to miss that building.
We have learned from the CEO here that this YMCA will be closed tomorrow, and it could be closed for a couple more days. At the time of the crash, there were some 300 people inside, and tonight we spoke to some of them. Brenda McKee had just finished the dishes this evening when she heard a loud noise.
It was like a freight train.
McKee looked out her kitchen window. In her sight, a plane headed for the ground.
When it hit so hard, this whole back wall shook.
This is not Ferguson, Missouri. It is right here in downtown Nashville. Demonstrators showing their disapproval of the grand jury decision that has the nation on edge.
Let's get right to Channel 4's Julia Buck. She's downtown. Julia, where exactly are you and what have you seen tonight?
All right, Tom, we just talked about the interstate being shut down. Well, the protesters are back here. We are on I-24. And eastbound and westbound shut down again. You can see them laying down right here. They're laying down in solidarity of Michael Brown. They've been doing this in different stops along the way, moving throughout the city for about the last 3 hours. And when they lay down for 4 minutes. I want you to take a look at the interstate over here. Come this way. I want you to take a look and see the backup. You can see all the trucks that are completely backed up on that direction. And on the other side, too, we've got traffic stopped. These are just some of the signs that we've seen. On the edge of all these demonstrators, though, notice the police officers. Earlier, I spoke to one gentleman who said it was really cool that a police officer gave him a water as he's been walking around for some 3 hours now.
And Nashville isn't the only city seeing protests and marches. As you can see, they are taking place all across the country: Richmond, Virginia, New York City, and Washington, D.C. But this is where it all began, Ferguson, Missouri, a live shot now you're looking at. Channel 4 photojournalist Jason Maxwell has been up there for the past several days. Jason joins us by telephone.
We've been out all day in Ferguson, and you can still see the smoke billowing from the buildings that were set on fires, the car lots, the cars that were set on fire. It's just been an eerie feeling up here because the key is this. You never know when it's going to pop off again.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is mourning the loss of one of their own tonight. 25-year-old officer Michael Petrina was killed along the interstate. Good evening and welcome to Channel 4 News at 6. Thanks for joining us tonight. Dozens of emergency responders rushed to the scene of this crash right along I-65 southbound to save the life of a man who was, of course, dedicated to saving the lives of others, Officer Michael Petrina. Tonight, we have team coverage on this tragic loss. We have Forrest Sanders, Carly Gordon, Haley Mason. Let's start with Forrest. And Forrest, you have details surrounding this crash.
I-65 was blocked off for a large part of the day, but according to the officers who are working the scene, this day has left them shaken.
This is the most serious of crashes. A Nashville police officer in service to this city has been killed. This is just a very sad day for the Nashville Police Department.
I-65 north near Old Hickory Boulevard is surrounded in cones of flashing lights. But according to Metro Police Chief Steve Anderson, this is an unbelievably hard scene to work for the officers here.
They spend more time with each other than they do their families.
All month long, Channel 4 News at 6 is working for you.
Come on out here and answer my questions.
Tracking your tax dollars.
This is not a reality TV show.
Asking the tough questions.
You sent a graphic sex video to a phone number that you didn't know. Didn't you think that this would come back to haunt you?
Holding the powerful accountable.
The thing that's frustrating about it is that the law's not going to do anything.
Getting results.
So grateful to the I-Team for looking into this.
Channel 4 News, working for you.
Tonight, the Channel 4 I-Team investigates crime in punishment.
How could this happen?
Reporting live once again from the federal penitentiary.
What we exposed happening in Tennessee prisons.
You see the stripes, you know where the we at.
Prompted criminal investigations.
I have a lot to lose to do something like this.
You take a risk like I do. Don't be on CNN in the morning, man.
And has lawmakers asking serious questions.
Somebody's head needs to roll up. Somebody needs to lose their job over this.
I believe I'm smoking better than everybody.
A state agency under fire
state prison officials are hiding information from the public.
I think we have our prison system under control.
And former top officials saying they had to come forward with what they know.
Do you think we, as the general public, are being told the truth about what's happening in the prisons in this state?
Absolutely not.
Good evening. It is a system designed to punish the worst offenders in the state. And for an entire year, the Channel 4 I-Team has been investigating what's really happening behind bars in Tennessee prisons. And what we uncovered led to disciplinary actions on more than 70 inmates, a TBI investigation, a hearing before lawmakers, and questions if a state agency is deleting records of violence inside Tennessee prisons. And it all started with a tip from a crime victim asking, how is it possible that convicted criminals are allowed to do this?
Prison's rough, right? You're in a cell all day, the food isn't good, little to no communication with the outside, right?
I believe I'm smoking better than everybody.
Well, welcome to prison life in the social media age. Drugs, smokes, mounds of snacks, cash, getting tattoos, the freedom to make music, even set things on fire, using forbidden technology to show it all off on Facebook.
This is the penitentiary, you hear me? Back in there relaxing, you know what I'm talking about?
Relaxing, eating pizza, getting high, while you're paying for them to be here.
Anybody who sees those videos, they're going to be sickened by it, they're going to be angered by it.
And we're not talking about just a few inmates who figured out how to get on Facebook. Not 10, not 20, not 50. A Channel 4 I-Team investigation found more than 100 inmates in Tennessee prisons with Facebook pages, their profile pictures taken inside their cells, pages the inmates are operating from behind bars to communicate with family, friends, fellow gang members, even with inmates in other prisons.
I guarantee you that when the commissioner sees this, there's going to be a reckoning, and there should be.
You know, these are murderers, rapists, and other convicted criminals, and they appear to be having a pretty good time in prison.
And I don't like it, but it's a problem that we face today, and it's something that we work hard on every day.
How can a guy set a shirt on fire without your correctional officers knowing?
You have one officer and 128 inmates in a prototypical housing unit. It appears that they have took something and covered up the door.
Parker looked at every photo and every video we found.
This has to be embarrassing for you.
It's something I don't like, obviously.
As soon as the Channel 4 I-Team brought our findings to the state, they immediately launched investigations in 14 prisons across the state, finding 53 cell phones, drugs, and a deadly weapon. Disciplinary actions were taken on 70 inmates for having Facebook pages, and their Facebook pages shut down. Both Marino and White's pages were taken down.
Diamonds. That one word got your attention. They're a girl's best friend, a guy's biggest splurge, the timeless symbol of priceless love. But what if you were told the diamond you dreamed of and saved for wasn't nearly as valuable as you were led to believe? Tonight, the Channel 4 I-Team goes undercover in perhaps the best-known jewelry store in the city.
The spring savings continue at Genesis Diamonds.
In the diamond game, they're a major player. Just look and listen.
Don't miss incredible spring savings exclusively at Nashville's own Genesis Diamonds.
Voted best place to buy an engagement ring, official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans. But when it comes to selling diamonds, some say Genesis is scoring with a trick play.
When somebody is deliberately offering one thing and then giving them another, I just don't think it's fair, it's not right.
To understand what's happening, you'll need a quick lesson in how diamonds are evaluated and who does it. It's a bit of an alphabet soup. The oldest laboratory, the one that invented letter grades for diamonds, is the Gemological Institute of America, or GIA. It's got competition from a bunch of other diamond labs, most notably EGL. That stands for European Gemological Laboratory, even though it's located here in the United States. But here's where it begins to get sticky. There is more than one EGL lab. EGL International may have the same initials, but experts say it has very different diamond standards, lower standards. Genesis says fewer than 25% of the thousands of diamonds it sells are graded by that lab. But we've been told by others that most of the stones sold by Genesis at what it calls the guaranteed best prices in America are diamonds certified by EGL International. But customers may not know that difference. Back at Genesis, at least one dissatisfied consumer was told there was only one difference separating GIA stones from EGL International: the price.
If this stone would have been graded by the GIA, instead of $3,600, we would have paid $5,500.
If it was a GIA
If
certified.
it was a GIA
Okay.
certified. Okay.
They say you're selling things that, apples that are really lemons.
Who are the complaints coming from? The complaints coming from the competitors.
4 months after our investigation, the biggest name in diamonds, Rappaport, pulled all EGL International diamonds off its sales exchange, citing our reporting as a catalyst.
That was a big deal. Everybody that I knew of in the jewelry business was talking about it, and talking about it a lot.
Last week, the biggest development yet. After 40 years, EGL International Laboratories announced it was ceasing operations, shutting down.
It's huge, and that's, without exaggeration, $1 billion effect on the diamond industry.
Brian Manukian is an attorney who sued Genesis on behalf of several customers.
Before your reports, this was an open secret in the jewelry industry, but this wasn't something that your average consumer would know about. Your reports exposed it, put it out in the open, and literally garnered front page attention from New York to the largest newspapers in Jerusalem.
Tonight, a Channel 4 I-Team investigation, keeping the promise.
We have a solemn promise.
There's thousands and thousands of veterans out there that they've done like this.
And to bring them back and to not fulfill our promise back to them is a travesty.
I definitely do believe they should have done more.
He told me that it was over.
Dead? Yeah, he shot himself. Are we doing enough to care for our fighting men and women?
We not just let them down, we've let them die. And somebody ought to be held accountable for it.
Good evening and welcome to a special presentation by the Channel 4 I-Team. About 1 year ago, the I-Team set out to explore one big question. Are we as a nation keeping the promise to the people who risked their lives for us? Kenneth Moore's past is threatening his future. While he suffers from the effects of Agent Orange,
It's been on 40-something years.
the worst pain, he says, didn't come from war.
The government still says, prove it, prove it.
Moore is among the veterans in Tennessee stuck in a government waiting game. He's been waiting more than 2 years and has been denied twice for disability benefits.
That's so dark.
And when you hear what he's gone through to try to get his claim resolved, you'll understand why the tears come so easily.
I'm so sorry.
Moore was a 19-year-old stationed in Thailand during the Vietnam War and was sent several times to Vietnam for radio work. He remembers seeing and feeling the strange herbicide being sprayed on the trees.
When it was on your clothes and stuff, it was like a powder.
And when he returned to the States, the memories of Vietnam remained.
I have to take medication because of the nightmares. Even today, I still take medication for the nightmares.
After he started having heart and lung problems, he filled out a disability claim with the VA. His discharge papers clearly state Vietnam Campaign Medal. He had an Agent Orange specialist with the VA diagnose him with heart disease and was placed on the Agent Orange registry. Another doctor diagnosed him with PTSD. So imagine his surprise when the VA denied his claim, not once, but twice over a 2-year period, saying there was no proof of PTSD, no proof he was exposed to Agent Orange, and because he was originally stationed in Thailand, they said there was no proof he was ever even in Vietnam.
It's just like you're a liar,
Kenneth's wife, Judy, says the motto of veterans fighting the VA for benefits is this:
deny, deny, deny till they die.
Channel 4 News is working for you.
There is drama inside the courtroom and behind the scenes in the Holly Bobo case. The judge says the case is moving too slow and there are major cracks showing between prosecutors and investigators. Channel 4's Dennis Ferrier has an exclusive interview with District Attorney Matt Stowe about how this so-called sideshow all started. Dennis, it sounds like there was a pretty contentious meeting behind the scenes.
Absolutely. You used the word blow-up, argument, yelling between TBI Director Mark Gwynn and District Attorney Matt Stowe. And it was about and only about the Holly Bobo case. But it's now spilled out to affect everything from identity theft to meth manufacturing in 5 counties. How in the world does it come to this? Tonight, we hear from one of the men in that epic argument. DA Matt Stowe says he can't believe he is actually discussing this. But how in the world did a private argument about an important and sensitive murder case end up being a public story? And even worse, how did an argument lead to the TBI pulling out of every case in all 5 counties?
There was a meeting on Friday, and Director Gwynn and I had a heated exchange at that meeting. It was quite heated. There's no question about that. But at no point did I kick the TBI out of the 24th Judicial District.
But in a letter obtained by Channel 4, Director Mark Gwynn wrote DA Stowe, quote, "It is in the best interest of the integrity of TBI to honor your original request to no longer provide services to the 24th Judicial District," unquote.
And if I could say one thing to Director Gwynn right now, I would say, please do not bring the people of the state of Tennessee into a personal dispute between you and I.
Well, tonight a California college has removed one of the men charged in the Vanderbilt rape case from its football team.
The decision comes after the Channel 4 I-Team started asking questions about whether he should be allowed to play. The I-Team's Kimberly Kurth has been following this story from the very beginning. She joins us now with exclusive new developments. Kimberly.
Tonight, we have learned that Butte College in California has kicked Vanderbilt rape suspect Brandon Banks off their football team. The Channel 4 I-Team had just uncovered that Banks was on their 2014 roster, but tonight the school's president says he has been removed and she is ordering an immediate review of athletic enrollment policies. This is a picture of Brandon Banks from Saturday, back in the game and playing football for Butte College in California. That is, until the Channel 4 I-Team started asking questions. Banks is one of 4 former Vanderbilt football players accused of raping an unconscious woman in a campus dorm room last summer. But despite facing 5 counts of aggravated rape, the Channel 4 I-Team uncovered Banks was on the 2014 roster for Butte, playing as number 29. Here's what the school's director of student affairs had to say about Banks just yesterday.
This particular student had been accused of sexual assault. And the question was, is there any basis for us not admitting him to Butte College? And the answer is no.
But since that interview, Renville says the school has heard backlash from the community and they've had a change of heart. Butte's president said Banks would be, quote, removed from the football team effective immediately for violating its student-athlete code of conduct.
Are you selling people bogus tickets?
Just hours ago, 6 arrest warrants went out for the woman you're seeing here, and you're about to learn why. Good evening and welcome to Channel 4 News at 6. Police say that woman is running a scam.
Yeah, just last week she thought she was selling tickets to another customer. Instead, the Channel 4 I-Team was waiting for her.
I'm Jeremy. Angela, nice to meet you.
It's Wednesday, April 30th, and Angela Formica is ready to sell her latest customer some tickets.
These are actual tickets?
She just didn't realize who she was talking to or who the Channel 4 I-Team's been talking to.
We were both just devastated.
You see, Sam and Diane Wadsworth of Mount Juliet and Maggie Combs and Braden Strauss of Nashville both bought more than $500 worth of tickets from Formica through Craigslist. They met Formica outside the Ryman, paid cash, and got excited to see the only Nashville concert on the George Strait Farewell Tour. But when they showed up at Bridgestone Arena, they were told their tickets were no good.
These are actual tickets.
So Maggie Combs worked with the Channel 4i team to go once more on Craigslist and arrange a sale with Formica to buy One Direction tickets. All Formica knew is she was meeting some 40-year-old guy named Jeremy, who apparently was a big fan of One Direction.
How much do you want for these?
$530 for both of them.
For $530, I was told all I had to do was show up. My tickets would be scanned, and I could see One Direction in all their glory. But we knew what happened to all these people.
These don't look like actual tickets, they look like copies.
Well, they are the actual tickets. Yeah, these are the tickets.
At that point, it was time to come clean.
My name is Jeremy. I'm Jeremy Finley, and I'm with Channel 4's investigative unit. And we've been approached by a number of people that told us that you've been selling them bogus tickets.
Yeah.
I need to ask you about that.
Okay. Well, I gotta go.
These people are out of a lot of money. Are these bogus tickets?
No, they're not.
Well, what about the other tickets that the people say that you sold them that were bogus?
I mean, I don't know what to say.
Channel 4 News is working for you.
World War II, the Battle of the Bulge. The 101st Airborne Division steps in to protect the city of Bastogne, Belgium from German attacks. As a symbol of their gratitude, the people of the city present a bulldog to the 101st, to be named Bastogne. A tradition that continues to this day. With the passing of each Bastogne, the Belgian city gives another bulldog to Fort Campbell to serve as mascot, an enduring symbol of strength and loyalty.
Ladies and gentlemen of Fort Campbell, you, my friends, are listening to Rendezvous Radio. Absolutely.
But today at Fort Campbell,
he's Tommy. He's an 8-year-old German Shepherd.
Private First Class Zachary Pilarczyk says a dog's bond to a soldier has evolved into that of friend and protector.
We have some intelligence that's possibly being used to store bomb-making material or any explosive devices. Confirmed intelligence that we have.
Training is underway, where 30 minutes ago C4 and nitro dynamite were hidden in a large warehouse of hundreds of hiding places. The explosive materials hidden here on this shelf and among these plastic wrapped boxes. Pilarczyk and Tommy are brought in and the clock started.
Basically, he'll work on his own, but I just gotta come in and kind of detail the area, which means just throw in productive areas where I think there could be something. Hey, boss.
This training happens 5 times a week. Keeping above a 95% proficiency is crucial.
Private George Winus, Private R. Tomlinson, Private George Dancy.
You have heard the names of fallen soldiers spoken out loud at ceremonies, but these names are being said out loud for the first time in 151 years. 17 Confederate soldiers died on this hill in downtown Dover. They were buried in an unknown mass grave.
Sergeant James Lau.
Local historian Dan Griggs used metal detectors, dowsing rods, and probes and discovered these men in 2007. It took another 7 years searching the country for documents to identify those who died.
It went on for 7 years, and it finally came. And I always figure that God takes care of those who are worthy.
Now this, 151 years later.
In Dixieland,
Civil War singers.
Ready, bang, fire.
Reenactors, widows, and just townsfolk, all saying, you all mattered. Thank you for your service. The war is over. We recognize your sacrifice.
The big picture sees that there were Americans North and Americans South who, for many various reasons, could not settle their problems peaceably. They resorted to war. They laid more than 600,000 of themselves in graves like this one here today. But they were Americans.
I always say if you believe in ghosts, this is where they would be. If you think about why spirits remain behind, lives cut short often, and sometimes they just don't know they're dead.
things go bump in the night, there's no doubt about that. When you consider what happens inside this house, on the property surrounding this house, I can't imagine anything more terrifying.
The Lotz House of Franklin was once a home to a German immigrant family searching for a simple life in the antebellum South, but instead found themselves in the middle of the Civil War. But according to some, something from a bygone era remains in the house and on those mist-covered battlefields 150 years after the Battle of Franklin.
Heart, soul, ground zero of the battle. It's the bloodiest 5 hours of the American Civil War.
Channel 4 News is working for you.
Severe weather can happen any time of the year in Middle Tennessee. And when storms come, we want you to be ready. That's why Channel 4's Forewarned Weather Team hits the road every spring and fall to keep you safe. We call it our Forewarned Weather Alert Tour. We meet folks, answer questions, and share what they need to know to stay safe in potentially deadly storms. Our latest tour wrapped up a few weeks ago at the Crockett Theater in Lawrenceburg. We brought our cameras along to show you what the tour is all about.
Welcome to our Forewarned Weather Alert Tour. It is so great to see all of you tonight. The pictures that you saw there in our video, that's the reason why we're here tonight.
I'm going to do a little experiment here, just a little demonstration. It's very basic, and you could do this at home if you have a hair dryer and a ping pong ball. Thunderstorms are powered by rising air. So we have a make-believe thunderstorm, this hair dryer, and when I turn it on and hold it vertically, it shoots air upward. And so we have a make-believe piece of hail, this ping pong ball, and we drop it in the make-believe updraft, and it just hangs there all day. So this is how hail forms. This is how something that big can float in a thunderstorm, getting circulated around for a couple of hours, and then the thunderstorm weakens and the hail falls to the ground. Hopefully not in your yard if it's that big.
Well, at Channel 4, we believe in healthy living, and we're sharing that commitment with you all weekend long with our free Healthy for Life Expo.
It was about fitness, it was about healthy eating, and it was about having fun. We had some great activities just like this one for the whole family, and day 2 is going to be even better. Today's expo had a little bit of everything, from cooking demonstrations, you can bake them crispy, to fitness activities like the rock wall. We even had live music. It was about giving you an opportunity to learn about making healthy choices. And for many, it was a family affair.
I got some grandchildren, so I want to make sure I'm around for a long time.
So Ron brought the whole family to the Music City Center, and today's focus was health.
Just trying to get healthy, and I watch some of the shows that talks about that, and so I want to change my lifestyle.
And of course, we were all there to say hi and take a few pictures. Even Snowbird got in on the action. We have lots more in store starting tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. The doors are going to open 10 to 5 on Sunday. And don't forget about free parking. We're running the shuttle again from LP Field. That's over at the Shelby Street pedestrian bridge. That runs at 9:30 Sunday morning. We'll pick you up, take you back all the way till 5:30. We hope you can join us.
I guess for the next 15 minutes, it was nothing but terror.
Tonight, chaos, destruction, and heartache. Storms claim lives and rip apart homes.
It was terrible. So sad. But I know I had the Lord with me. If Lord hadn't been with me, I wouldn't be here today. I know that.
And now, those who've already lost so much are in the path of potentially severe weather again.
Working for you in high definition, this is Channel 4 News at 6.
Good evening and welcome to Channel 4 News at 6. Many people in Lincoln County counting their blessings this evening. Even though they may have lost everything, their lives were spared.
2 people, John and Karen Prince, did not survive. 7 others were hurt, and they're now saying the tornado may have been a full 2 miles wide. At least 25 structures were damaged or destroyed. And that number does not include this building, South Lincoln Elementary School. Air 4 flew over the scene earlier today. The school cannot be used by teachers or students, and you can surely see why. Much of the roof is gone. Debris is everywhere. It appears that school bus was picked up and landed on its side. We have a lot to get to, including the threat of even more severe weather on the way.
We begin our team coverage with Channel 4's Ian Wright, who's been in Lincoln County since before dawn. And Ian, a long day certainly for you guys, but a longer night for those who've been affected.
That's right, Tom, and these folks who've been affected are not slowing down. In fact, they're ramping things up. They're trying to get as much done over the next couple of hours before the sun goes down as they possibly can, especially with the rain kind of picking up. They're trying to cover the holes that were left after that tornado ripped through their homes last evening. We're going to begin with Channel 4's Nancy Amon. She's about a mile away from me at the command center that's been set up. She's got an update as we learn more about the folks we lost in this storm.
Right, we had a news conference with the sheriff just about an hour ago. We learned a little bit more about the two deaths. The two who perished lived in a mobile home off Tifton Road. Now, I was out there earlier today. There was not much left of the home of John Prince and his wife Karen. John was 60 years old, Karen 44, his wife. Pieces of their house and all their belongings were blown all the way across the street. They were scattered through fields as far as the eye could see. A lot of those belongings landed in their neighbor's yard. Adam Danner, his family was not at their home at the time. They had left to take shelter in a friend's basement. When they returned, they found not only had their own house been destroyed, but their neighbors had lost their lives.
It's a total loss. There's no rebuilding, or there's no repairing it. It'll have to be rebuilt, obviously. And all of my vehicles are totaled, so it's pretty much devastation. Unfortunately, they did not survive the storm. Their house was right in the direct path here, and it just they were in it, and it didn't survive the storm. So they perished.
Now, the good news, according to the Sheriff's Department, is right now no one is missing. Everyone is accounted for that they know of. There is a curfew being set up from 6 p.m. tonight until 6 a.m. tomorrow. Anyone who needs to come into the area has to sign in and get a wristband. As you heard, 25 homes in all were totally destroyed. An unknown number were severely damaged. We heard today from the sheriff that the tornado touched down in Smith Hill. It looped around, then it came across and made a direct hit at that school, the shelter where just 30 minutes earlier people had been released to go home. The sheriff said, by the grace of God, only 2 were killed in this act of mass destruction. Live in Lincoln County, Nancy Amons, Channel 4 News.
Nancy, thank you. Before the deadly tornado, another twister moved through Lincoln County.
And someone posted this video to YouTube. What's most chilling, while that tornado was moving through, people were actually inside South Lincoln Elementary School taking shelter. After this tornado, they moved, and if they hadn't gone, they would have still been in the school building when the second tornado came through. Channel 4's Ian Wrights joins us again live from the school. What a turn of events there, Ian.
I mean, Dimitri, it is amazing that they got out, and they got out before that third round of severe weather came through, because what you're finding out here in this neighborhood are pieces of the school's roof tossed across the street, and then homes that were across the street. These tiles, they're back behind the school, several hundred feet away. Go ahead and take a look at the school that we're talking about. It is just incredible those folks got out of there in time, because the roof was just peeled off from one end to the other. And then you see the destruction with the school bus there that was picked up over the curb. It was knocked into the school, according to a couple of folks, several times before finally coming to a rest several minutes later. I want to bring in Channel 4's Ann McCloy. She has been out on the scene with us all day long, talking to folks who live just across from the school. There's a number of homes that line this street, and they lost a lot as well.
Right, this is Smith Mill Road, right across from the school, and so many residents right along here lost their homes. Also on Price Lane, some of the homes were actually lifted right off the foundation and carried into the homes right next door. Those homes today are now just piles of brick and wood. The homes across from South Lincoln School were leveled.
I've lost 2 houses, 2 barns, 5 tractors, 3 boats, and 4 vehicles.
Marlon Simmons lost the home he built for his family just 10 years ago and his son's house next door. The storm shelter downstairs saved their lives.
In about 3 seconds, I mean, it was gone.
Next door, an RV parked outside Kate Cooley's house ended up on its side, where her family spends summers swimming.
We just picked it up and twisted it around and put it upside down in the pool.
Luckily, they weren't home at the time.
There were 2 beams that went straight through the wall into the bedroom. And so the back of the house was just totally destroyed, and that's where we stay most of the times.
Every family that we spoke to today said they felt so lucky to be alive. They got into those shelters within minutes. Actually, when the tornado sirens started going off right here at the school. The people that live right across the street ran, and they said that they were just holding down the door to their shelter, made it in just in time.
Yeah, and we heard folks say that they grabbed others they saw who were out in the neighborhood, brought them in the storm shelters with them. Channel 4's Ann McCloy, thank you so much for that reporting. And that's going to do it for us right now from Lincoln County. We're going to continue to stay out here. We've got another crew headed out here for the 10 o'clock news. But again, we'll keep you posted as things develop. These folks have got a lot of cleaning up to do. Definitely want to keep them in your thoughts over the next couple of days.
Yes, thoughts and prayers. Ian, and thank you. Air 4 flew over some of the devastation in Lincoln County today. Take a look. You can see the power of these storms right here. Just flattened these silos in Flintville. The metal is twisted, barely recognizable. And look, you can see the tracks, how the winds actually dragged the silos through the field. There are a few more just ripped apart, spilling grain across the field. And take a look at this in Fayetteville. You can see several people there digging through the debris of that building. It is hard to make out what survived the storm. A door, a bookcase, a washing machine, everything else is completely destroyed. And in Flintville, the storm ripped the roofs right off of several buildings there. This is on Vantown Road. Take a look, entire trees actually were uprooted and thrown on their sides. Fences and walls turned to debris. You can see the panels ripped right from the top of that building there, scattered in pieces around it.
Our forewarned weather alert is still in effect because of potentially severe storms moving into the area again. Lisa's in the Forewarned Weather Center with the latest on that.
And the very good news is we have no severe weather in effect right now across Middle Tennessee. A look at what we're seeing on our forewarned live Doppler radar. And we are looking at a few thunderstorms that have popped up. And this one between Murfreesboro and McMinnville is producing some lightning right now. Another a little farther to the south along 65 just to the north there of Elkton. But we've had one location where already we have had some hail produced, and that's a little farther up to the northeast. So we check here, and it's folks not too far from Cookeville reported 3/4 inch size hail, and also we've had 3/4 inch size hail reported around the Livingston area as well. But we are keeping our sights on what's going on farther down to the south, because as we head down towards Alabama, this is where things get very, very interesting. This is where the tornado watch is in effect at this point. So we're keeping a very close eye on cells like the one that you see right here. No warning out on that. Also another cell that is right through here. But there is some good news for us. We've got a front moving across the mid-state, and it looks as though that front is going to help to diminish our chances of seeing any thunderstorms, and that's the best news as all these continue to move. But at this point, we take a look and show you that we do have still our potential for severe thunderstorms in effect across the mid-state for tonight, but it's mainly confined to the southeast corner and also along the Cumberland Plateau. And with that, mainly hail and high wind. That's our biggest concern with flooding, particularly where it's already rained so much, and the threat of tornadoes is isolated with these storms tonight. We'll have more on a big change that comes for the rest of the week in just a few minutes.
We'll see you then, Lisa. There is more news to tell you about. In fact, a major new development in the Holly Bobo case. Another man now faces charges in the kidnapping and murder. Channel 4's Carly Gordon is live in Decaturville with the story.
Tom, 39-year-old Jason Autry now faces the charges for kidnapping and killing nursing student Holly Bobo. He is not the first, and TBI officials tell us he will not be the last. Now, here's the man we're talking about, Jason Autry. The TBI calls him a longtime friend of Zachary Adams, the man who's already charged in connection with the case. Officials say witnesses saw Autry and Adams with Holly Bobo after she disappeared. One of those witnesses is Adams' brother. The director of the TBI tells us they also have physical evidence, but they have yet to find Holly's body.
It's important for a lot of reasons, but especially for the Bobo family. We believe they deserve to know where their daughter's body is. And we're going to do everything we can to try to give them some closure on that.
It always very heavy on the family. I had no idea what victim families went through until we've had this experience in this community with the Bobo family.
Now, we talked exclusively with one of Autry's family members, his mother-in-law, earlier today. She told us that the TBI interviewed Autry's daughter several times. They had no idea he was about to be arrested today. She says Autry got into some problems with some drugs, but before that, she calls him a good man.
He was just a good person. He'd help with everything. My husband had hogs. He wanted to learn all about them, everything, you know, and he was just a good person.
Now, Autry is now charged with first-degree murder and especially aggravated kidnapping. He was already in jail on another aggravated assault charge. Now he's being held without bond. Both Autry and Zachary Adams are scheduled to be in court tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We, of course, will be there bringing you the latest. And stay tuned because, again, the TBI says that they expect more arrests to come and very soon. Reporting live in Decatur County, I'm Carly Gordon, Channel 4 News.
Former Vanderbilt coach James Franklin's name is now connected to the rape investigation involving 4 former players. Details next.
911, where's your emergency?
They have my baby and won't release him.
And a mother's heartbreaking call to police about an elected official. The Channel 4i team investigates, still ahead.
Keep watching to win $444 from Channel 4.
There are explosive new allegations against former Vanderbilt football coach James Franklin coming from one of his former players who was accused of rape. Tom has the details.
Well, accused rapist Brandon Vandenberg's defense team filed a motion in court today. It is so explosive the judge will not allow it to be released to us right now. But the Tennessean is reporting the filing says James Franklin at some point before the assault asked the victim, a Vanderbilt student, to get 15 pretty girls together to form a team to assist with recruiting. After the alleged assault, the filing claims that Franklin and another member of his staff contacted the victim to tell her they cared about her because she helped with recruiting. Franklin has, of course, left the university for the head coaching job at Penn State. The Tennessean reports Vandenberg's attorneys are also accusing prosecutors of destroying or failing to preserve certain evidence that might help their defense and asking that the case be dismissed. Now, we did contact the district attorney's office for a response to the allegations, but have not heard back. Stay with us. Did an elected official demand money from grieving families? He says no, but 2 families came to us for help. The Channel 4i team investigates next. Two grieving families are accusing a funeral director of taking advantage of them after the deaths of their babies.
The Channel 4i team's Kimberly Kurth has been investigating some troubling allegations. Kimberly?
That funeral director is also an elected official, the county coroner. One of these mothers claims the funeral home essentially held her baby's remains for ransom. The funeral director says he did nothing wrong, but the mother was so distraught by the dispute, she made a heartbreaking call to police for help.
911, where's your emergency?
You are about to hear a grieving mother's anguish.
I need a sheriff dispatched out to Lamb Funeral Home.
What's going on at Lamb's?
They have my baby and won't release him.
Just days after delivering a stillborn baby, she's on her way to this funeral home in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, begging a dispatcher for help.
Who has your baby and won't release it?
Lamb Funeral Home. He cussed out the funeral director, and we talked with him to get a price earlier on what it was going to cost to bury our baby, and little baby, and we won't release him to Ty County where we want him buried.
Why are they refusing to give the child?
He said that I owe money.
Brittany Jones was the mother who made that call earlier this year. She and her husband claim Lamb Funeral Home essentially held their baby for ransom during their darkest hour. They say the owner of Lamb Funeral Home, who is also the coroner in this community, asked them to pay their balance for his services before he would release their son's body to another funeral home.
I never thought someone would hold our baby just for money, and we just wound up, bury him and try to move on. So, yeah, it was really hard. It still is.
The Joneses will tell you they don't have much money and they couldn't afford to bury their baby. That's why they wanted Todd County Funeral Home to handle the services, because the owner there offered to do it for free.
We went to pick the body up and he refused to give us the body because there was a balance owed on his transportation cost. We waited until the next day before we got the remains.
The Joneses wanted one last chance to see their baby to say their last goodbyes. They claim time was running out to embalm their son so they could have an open casket funeral. That's why they called 911 asking the police to intervene.
And it just made it that much worse.
When we brought these allegations to the National Funeral Directors Association, an international advocacy group for the funeral industry, here's how a board member reacted.
What he is doing is extremely borderline, one, unethical and almost illegal if he actually says, you're not receiving this body until I get paid. That is holding the body for ransom.
With babies and or adults, families are distraught. Sometimes they hear things or they think things that aren't necessarily so. This talking about monies, there was no monies involved at all on our behalf.
Doris Lamb agreed to sit down with us. He denies the Joneses' claims, saying he agreed to release the baby's remains the day after the family requested it, and he did not demand money.
There was no charge here. For a ransom, you have to have a demand. All we did was tell them that they would need to come the next day.
Lamb says the family was upset because they wanted him to release the remains sooner than he did. But these aren't the only allegations Lamb has faced. The Channel 4i team checked his file with the Kentucky Board of Embalmers and Funeral Directors. In 2007, a man wrote the board saying Lamb kept thousands of dollars from a prearranged funeral account. The Kentucky Attorney General's office requested Lamb pay that man's family more than $4,000 that they say he had kept from the account. The following year, Tennessee regulators said Lamb violated procedures for burial transit permits. Kentucky's Board of Funeral Directors followed with this letter saying his conduct with the permits was, quote, unprofessional. And then there's this. Another mother who lost 2 babies in the span of a few months. She did not want us to show her face, but she says Lamb demanded payment before her family could see her son the day of his visitation.
I'm grateful that I did have money, and I'm grateful that I had a family to help me. Because if I didn't, I would not have got to see my son.
Lamb says that's not true.
That's not our policy and never has been. In the same way, really, Kim, I think people hear what they want to hear. We are here to direct and help that family.
That's not what either of these families say happened during the worst days of their lives.
I don't want anybody to have to go through any more grief than what you are already losing a loved one.
Yeah. Regarding those earlier complaints we told you about, Lamb had the option to appeal the Kentucky Board of Embalmers and Funeral Directors' decision, but the board said he did not.
Kimberly Kurth tonight, thanks. Time now for weather. Lisa's in the Fort Warren Weather Center. Another busy day.
Yes, it has been. And you know, our concern has been for those counties to the southeast, and we still have a tornado watch in that general area as well. Let's take a look at what's going on right now on our Fort Warren live Doppler radar. And actually, the news is not too bad considering the recipe was coming together. It looks as though we have a frontal system that is moving across the area, and that front should be about through here at this point. Already some much cooler air on the backside of it, and our risk for severe weather has really diminished tremendously. Now we are still seeing a few thunderstorms, and you get them right through here. We'll watch more come up out of Alabama, but the greatest risk at this point seems to be from the possibility of hail, and we have already had 3/4 inch size hail in this area. Now that's not enough to prompt a severe thunderstorm warning, but we are watching for a little more hail from these storms as well. So we've got that happening from around Livingston and stretching back over towards the Carthage area, and then we scoot a little farther down to the south, and we've got more thunderstorms right around Smithville. You can see some of the lightning there, and back towards Shelbyville as well. Of course, we're keeping an eye on what is going on even farther down to the south, and that's across parts of Alabama. So far, we don't see any of these cells prompting a warning, and that is very good news at this point. So even though we still have that risk out there, it looks as though it's not as high as it was a bit earlier. Now, we'll tell you where we get some rain. We could have some flooding issues, and there is a flood watch that remains in effect until 7 o'clock tonight. And that tornado watch, it's not for everyone. It really is for Lincoln, Franklin, and Moore County here in Middle Tennessee, and it does stretch down through portions of Alabama and also into the southern sections of Mississippi as well. So that's really the hot spot for tonight, but we'll keep a very close eye on these storms as they do travel from Alabama up here into the southeast corner of Middle Tennessee. Most likely spot again to see that severe weather is going to be along the Cumberland Plateau and in the southeast corner of Middle Tennessee. Our futurecast is showing us that we'll see that flow coming up from the south. Still some rain on the backside of that frontal system. as all this works towards the east, but it's mainly concentrated toward the east. And then those temperatures will continue to drop. The rain moves out, in a much, much different day coming our way tomorrow. We can see some of those thunderstorms in the distance there. That's the view from Cookeville from the EMA camera there, and some of the showers that are behind that front from the camera here at St. Henry's School. And the temperatures continue to drop. In downtown, we're down to 64 after reaching a high today of 83 degrees. Right now out at Nashville International, clouds and 63. The wind is variable at 3 miles per hour. And then our high today, 81 degrees. So pretty incredible drop in the temperatures for today. Here's what we're looking for as we move on forward. These temperatures will fall in response to that front, already into the 50s in the northwest corner, still hanging on to the warm air to the south, and this is where we're most likely to see those thunderstorms continue to develop. So a few possible severe thunderstorms tonight, and then all that moves out of here certainly after midnight. 55 degrees by 7 o'clock in the morning, 64 at noon, 68 degrees will be our high for tomorrow. Another nice day on Thursday and Friday in the mid-60s, and for Saturday and Sunday we'll look for mid-70s on Saturday, near 80 degrees for Sunday. So very good news. Things are improving somewhat for our scenario tonight, but we will keep a close eye. We're not totally out of the woods just yet.
We know you'll be on it, Lisa. Thanks.
A case of road rage leads to blows and charges. Both sides say they were justified. You'll hear from those involved, and you can decide coming up tonight at 10.
Channel 4 I-Team exposed something a state agency tried to delete, and now what we've uncovered has gotten the attention of one state lawmaker and even the governor. The story's new at 6:30. Plus,
I'm Dennis Ferrier. It's one of Nashville's most puzzling and agonizing mysteries. How a little girl on the way to the bus stop vanished in thin air. Is there anything new? How is that case?
This is your chance to win $444. Call 737-4968. If you're the fourth caller, you win $444 from Channel 4.